Hare Krishna. Once again, welcome everyone on our Tuesday evening Bhagavad Gita class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinim Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि श्री गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So last time we were talking about Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, text number 16 through 23 we discussed last time. So we were talking about the nature of the soul. The soul is indestructible and the soul is imperishable. Nobody can destroy the soul, and the soul does not perish by itself also in due course of time, like the body does. Body can be destroyed externally also by external means, and otherwise body in general will also perish. It will grow old and ultimately the body will finish. But the soul continues. Soul is eternal. And then the very famous verse 2.22, Krishna is speaking about Vasamsi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya Navani Grahanati Naroparani, that the soul changes different bodies. As we change clothes, we put on new clothes and give up the old and useless one. Same way the soul accepts new bodies, giving up the useless and old ones. So that is the concept of reincarnation. And we also talked about violence. The knowledge of soul does not promote violence. It is not to say that, okay, soul anyways cannot be killed, so one can whimsically kill anybody or harm anybody. That's not the intention here. Krishna is not provoking Arjuna for committing violence whimsically. And then the 23 text was, Krishna talked about further the nature of the soul, that soul cannot be killed, cut by any weapon. Soul cannot be moistened by water. Soul cannot be withered by the wind. And soul cannot be burnt by fire. So that's what the qualities of the soul we were talking about in the last time. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nanam dahati pavaka, na chainam kaledyanti apo, na shoshyati maruta. So after describing this in 23, now text number 24 onwards, we'll discuss today. So Krishna, when said the soul cannot be cut by any weapon, cannot be burnt by fire, cannot be withered by the wind or moistened by the water, Arjuna's question indirectly may be why that cannot happen, right? So then in text 24, Krishna is describing, because that's the nature of the soul. Soul is unbreakable. That's why it cannot be cut into pieces. It's insoluble. That's why it cannot be moistened by water or drowned by water. Soul cannot be burned. That's the reason fire cannot burn the soul. Or the soul cannot be dried. That's why the wind cannot wither the soul. Soul is everlasting. Soul is present everywhere. Sarvagataha. Okay, soul is sarvagata, so it has the potency to go anywhere. Soul is unchangeable and immovable, achalo. Achalo means immovable. Like the mountains. Mountains are known as achal. Right? So that same way the soul is also described here as achalo, that soul is immovable. And soul is eternally the same. Now, talking about these two particular qualities here, sarvagata, that soul is everywhere, or it has the potential to go everywhere, and it is immovable. What does this really mean? So, soul being present everywhere, it does not mean that same soul is already present everywhere. That it's the same soul which is present in my body or the same soul which is present in your body. What does it really mean? Sarvagata means that soul has the potential to go anywhere in any part of the universe or any part of the material creation. So this characteristic of soul being everywhere also point out that there is life everywhere in the universe. In all the different planets, life is present. Right? When we say life is present on Earth, and the science may claim, oh, life is not present on moon or any other planet, moon or sun, because we are trying to judge life based on the life condition on this Earth. Right? On Earth, we know our bodies are made up of 70% of the water, and the main other constituent is air. And if we think if on other planet we could not see water, it means there cannot be life. So that's not how it works, because life is present everywhere. Soul is present everywhere. It has the potential to go anywhere. Today, somebody has taken birth on Earth. His body is made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, where water is 70% composition. But there are other bodies which are more composition is of air. Or some planets, there is more element or the more composition is fire, fiery body or airy body. Right? Like in sun also, based on our scriptures, we know life is there in sun. The deity of sun is Vivaswan, and the bodies which are made of fire element there. So it's not made of water element or earth element more. So life is present on all the planets, and the soul has the potency to go anywhere in any part of the universe. And the next quality which is described here, achalo. Achalo does not mean that soul cannot move from one point to another point. We know soul moves from one point to another. That's why we say he has passed away. Right? When somebody dies, we say he has passed away. He has left this body and now gone into the next phase or the next destination. So soul is movable by its own effort. But when we say achalo, immovable, it means his soul cannot be moved by external methods. It's not that I can try to take the soul out of this body and put him into another body. So that's not possible by external efforts, but it moves by the arrangement of nature. Right? Based on the arrangement of nature, somebody dies, soul moves into another body. So soul here is described as unbreakable, insoluble. It cannot be burnt. It cannot be dried. It's everlasting. It's present everywhere, sarvagata, and it's immovable by external methods. Now in the next verse, 225, Krishna further continues to describe the nature of the soul. Here, another two important qualities of the soul mentioned are avyakta and achintaya. Soul is invisible, avyakta, and soul is achintaya, inconceivable, and also immutable. So you should not grieve for the body. So Krishna is telling again and again to Arjuna, do not grieve for the body and discharge your duty of fighting. So one may say, okay, I want to see the soul for a proof. But Krishna here is saying, okay, you cannot see the soul by your eyes, because from your material eyes, the soul is invisible. It is inconceivable to our material eyes or material senses. And then one may say, then how do I believe in existence of soul? So soul can be still perceived based on our logical understanding, based on inference, based on common sense. We have talked about this particular topic many times when we talk about who am I? Am I the body? Am I my hand? Am I my face? Who am I? So when we try to understand the concept of soul, it is to be understood based on the logical understanding, inference, and based on common sense also many times. So based on the common sense, when somebody dies, we say, oh, that person passed away. This person left his body, right? So when somebody dies, people beat their chest around and talk like this. So if we are the body is still lying there, then who has passed away? So the body is still present there, then why do not you feed the body now? Why don't you nourish the body now? Why don't you bathe that body now? So we do not even say that take away the body of such and such person. Right? What do people say? Take the body away of Mr. Mehta, Mr. Gupta, or something. So he is not that person. This is his body. So it means we are not the body. We are something else who was present inside that body. Earlier, people may have so much affection towards that person. They will handshake, embrace that person. Now when the person has passed away, died, the body is lying there, that same body is seen as something abominable, right? Somebody is scared of even going close to the body, what to speak of touching the body, and they want to remove the body as soon as possible. Okay, just take it away, finish it off. So that is one common sense understanding. We say such and such person passed away, and then anything we do is, when we say who am I, we say, or when we address our body, any part of our body, we say my hand, my face, my leg, my nose, my eye, my ear, my kurta. So in that way we are saying everything as my. We are not saying I. We don't say I hand, I leg, I face, I mouth, or I kurta. Yes, now there is concept of iPhone, iPad, whatnot. But when we refer to ourselves, we don't say I hand, I kurta. We say my hand, my kurta. It belongs to me. So this body belongs to me. I am not this body. So that is a common sense understanding. And of course, then based on the scientific proofs, there are out of body experiences, near death experiences, then past life memory. Those case studies are there which prove that we are not the body, we are the spirit soul, and person continue its journey from one body to another body. So we cannot perceive the presence of soul with our material senses. To our material eyes, soul is invisible, it is inconceivable. Now after describing the qualities of soul, Krishna is telling Arjuna, do not worry about the body, because Arjuna's first concern for not fighting, what was Arjuna's first reason of not fighting? Anybody? See, Arjuna gave 5 reasons, right? We counted why
He
Arjuna
did
did not
not
want
want
to
to
fight.
kill his relatives and incur a sinful reaction.
Right. So just
Because,
just the first one, not all
okay,
of them. Just the first one.
okay.
What was the very first? That was his compassion towards his family members. That I don't want to kill my relatives, my family members. So Arjuna was concerned that he had to kill his relatives, family members. So that's why so far Krishna is talking about this concept of soul to drive away that first concern of Arjuna, his compassion for the body, by saying this body is not permanent and soul cannot be killed, soul cannot be destroyed. And for the body, there is death is certain for the body. So Krishna is answering Arjuna's first concern so far. Now, text number 26 to 28, these 3 verses. Now, what Krishna is doing is he's taking another turn. Now he is going to explain that, okay, even if you don't understand the soul, if you don't believe in soul, you think body is the only thing, body is all in all, still there is no reason of lamentation. Still, you should not lament for this body. So let's look at this text number 26 to 28 now. What is Krishna saying? So in text 26, Krishna says, Even if you think that the soul will be born and die, still you should not lament. So, as some of the atheistic theories, they suggest that we are some product of some chemical composition, right? We are just the product of some biochemical combination. So, if life is just a combination of some chemicals, then all these emotions are just some chemical reaction. And as in science sometimes they say, right, when some particular chemical in the body increases, the person feel happiness. Or if some particular chemical in the body increases, the person feel lot of anxiety. So if that is the theory, if we are product of biochemical combination and our emotions are also just chemical reaction, then why to lament for just transformation of chemicals? We are made up of chemical, again we will transform into chemical. So what is the lamentation? Actually, Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj, he was describing his experience actually, one lecture at IIT Bombay. So one of the student at the end asked, what do you think about Darwin's theory of evolution, that we evolved from one life species to another life species? And our understanding is not that the same body or we are evolving in terms of bodies. Our theory is not evolution but transmigration, right? We are transmigrating from one life form to another life form. Somebody may be in the body of a fish earlier, now he is in the body of a maybe a lion or tiger, or maybe a giraffe, or later on into some another life form. So it's a transmigration of the soul from one body to another. It's not that earlier there was one type of body and that body evolved into another type of body. One species transformed into another species, as the theory of evolution uh, promotes. So when these scientific students they hear this answer, they become outraged actually, because all their PhD degrees, all their whole career, their whole study is based on this theory of evolution. So for them, it becomes really difficult to understand this concept, who are the followers of this Darwin theory. In Darwin theory, whatever these stories are mentioned, that earlier how it was a how the giraffe got a long neck, right? He was trying to reach out to the taller and taller branches to get the leaves for eating, and that's how he got a long neck. This seems like childish stories, right? How elephant got long nose. See, what is the difference? Yes, somebody has question. Okay, we'll take the question at the end maybe if somebody had a question. So the point I was saying is, see, there are two type of stories. One story is which is part of evolution theory, which says how the giraffe got long neck, that they were trying to reach to the higher and higher branches. The survival of the fittest theory is promoted, right? And then there is another story which is just a children book written by somebody named Raymond um, Rudyard Kipling. There is a book, children's book, where he just talk about the a fiction story how elephant got long nose. That's elephant was going to drink water and his nose was caught up by the fish, and the fish pulled and pulled and elephant got a long nose. So see, what is the similarity between these two stories? One is just a children's story, and the another one is a very scientific story. Does it see any difference here? Both seems to be a children's story only. So, but that is how the evolution theory promotes, that we evolved from one species to another species. Other earlier it was aquatic. The fish swam and swam and swam for years and years, and later it transformed into a bear, and then it came on to the earth and it was just walking and walking. It transformed into another life form. Earlier we were monkeys, then we jumped from the branches and came to the benches and we became as humans. So people promote this type of evolution theories, but our understanding is, or the scripture, the Vedic scripture says, we are not the body, we are the soul. And if you think the soul is not eternal, soul is just the part of the body, along with the body, soul is also taking birth and dying. Okay, still there is no need to lament. If you think everything is chemical composition, okay, so still there is no reason to lament, because ultimately everything will transform into chemical. Then text number 27, another very important text to understand. जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युर्ध्रुवं जन्म मृत्यस्य च तस्माद् अपरिहार्यर्थे न त्वं शोचितुम् अर्हसि. So जातस्य हि ध्रुवं मृत्युर. One who has taken his birth is sure to die. Dhruvo. He, he is certain to die. Dhruvam janma mrityasya cha. And who has died, he is again sure to take birth again. Tasmat apripaharyarte natvam shochitum arhasi. Therefore, in an unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. So Krishna is again telling Arjuna, do not lament, you do your duty. If you think everybody is just body, there is nothing as soul, still there is nothing to lament, because everybody is going to die ultimately. If you think you do not want to kill your relatives, but do you think your relatives are going to live forever? That Bhisham Pitama or Dronacharya or anybody else, that they will continue to live forever? Ultimately, they have to die. That is the nature of the body. Whoever has taken birth is certain to die. So you should do your duty of fighting. Do not go away from your duty. Now, in the last session also, we talked about this concept of violence. Is violence justified by means of understanding the soul cannot be killed? So does it promote violence? So this 27 verse is also part of those verses. So text number 19, text number 21, text number 27. Krishna is again and again telling that you do your duty of fighting, because soul cannot be killed. So now again, if somebody cannot kill the soul, does it mean one can artificially or whimsically kill somebody or harm somebody? Is violence justified? Why did Krishna, who is all loving, why is he inciting Arjuna to fight? Why is he inciting Arjuna for the war? And then another question is terrorism in the name of religion, is that appropriate or inappropriate? So let's understand this concept further. When Krishna says in this verse that whoever has taken birth is sure to die, and also in 21, text number 21, when Krishna said soul is eternal, nobody can kill the soul, soul cannot kill anybody, or soul cannot be killed by anybody. So it does not mean that somebody may think, let me kill that person because anyways he is going to die. If somebody whimsically commit violence, he has to suffer the reactions. But at the same time, violence or war, they are inevitable factors in the human society, sometimes for keeping the law and order. Right? When I gave the example, if the terrorist attack on a city, let's say some shooter, they attack the university or some school, and the cops come, and cops think, no, we want to be tolerant, we don't want to harm anybody. In that situation, they have to kill those terrorists or those shooters to protect the other people. So in some situations, to maintain law and order, sometimes violence is inevitable. And violence is justified when it is for the purpose of supreme justice. For example, if somebody has committed murder, then according to Manu Samhita, one is condemned to death. He is to be given as a death sentence, hanged till death. Earlier, that used to be the normal law, which is actually beneficial for the murderer, so that he will not have to suffer the sinful reactions in his next life. And we talked about another example of doctor performing a surgery. Right? It may seem as a violence, but he is doing it for the protection of the patient. So here, Prabhupada writes in the purport of 227 that the war of Kurukshetra was also for the right cause. to punish the criminals who were ruling the kingdom by illegal means, or the other people who were supporting these people, who were supporting these adharmic people. So to fight for the right cause is the duty of the Kshatriya. So here Lord Krishna, when he is inciting Arjuna for war, he is telling Arjuna to do his duty of punishing these adharmic people, punishing these criminals. And Arjuna was afraid of the sinful reaction. But Krishna is explaining that actually, if you are avoiding your duty, then you will have to suffer sinful reaction. And by avoiding the fight, don't think that you will be able to save your relatives. Your relatives are going to die one way or another anyway, because this body is not permanent. Whoever has taken birth is certain to die. So some people take this karma philosophy that you do your good karma, be a moral person, right? Be moral, be truthful, and then everything is good. Then all is right. And people go with this yatho mat tato pat philosophy also. If you think that is right, you do that. If I think this is right, I will do that. So if we go with this yatho mat tato pat philosophy, then everybody, whatever they think, they will do that, and whatever they think that is right. Then how two things can be right? If this person is also right, that person is also right. Actually, morality, what is really morality? Anybody, what is the definition of morality? Rahul Prabhu, what do you think? What is morality?
I would say Prabhuji is something that we believe is right, and that belief probably comes from having read that, or having understood that from some authoritative source, like like the Gita or the scriptures.
Okay, good. Anybody else? What is morality real mean?
Prabhuji, the morality, the way I say it, is a human relation, and it's a dharma, with what we call how the society you have to behave with one another. And then it does involve the supreme power once in a while if you believe in religion. Otherwise, morality in general is a relationship between human and how they should be behaving with each other. That's the way general people would think so. Hare Krishna.
Okay. See, morality definition also could vary person to person, right? Somebody may think if I do this, or I think this is morality. Somebody else may think that is as a morality. But what is really morality? If you really see, the definition of morality is to surrender to the Supreme Lord, to abide by the instruction of the Supreme Lord or his representative. That is morality. Without that, anything what we do is whimsical. Right? If somebody does not believe in religion, does not believe in God, and they want to do anything by their whimsical means, that is not morality. See, we follow certain principle. We say one should not eat meat, one should not drink intoxication, one should not smoke, one should not gamble, one should not have illicit relation. Right? If we follow these instructions, because these are as per the instructions of the scriptures, then that is the principle of morality. But if somebody says, I believe in God, but what is the problem in killing animal and eating meat? What is the problem in drinking? What is the problem in having extra relationship with any other woman outside of marriage? So if somebody say, I believe in God, but they don't want to give up these activities, then where is the question of morality? Because morality means following the instructions of the Supreme Lord. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagvat pranitam. That is dharma, to abide by the instruction of God or the representative of God. So to follow the instructions of our spiritual authority, our teacher, that is morality. For example, if there is a group of thieves, they had a bank robbery, or they stole from some people's houses, And after that robbery, they escaped the police and went somewhere outskirts of the city at a so-called some safe place. And after that, they just took out all the booty, whatever they have looted, and kept it there. And now they are talking among themselves. Let's divide all this booty morally among ourselves. So first of all, you have looted it from others, you have stole from others. Where is the question of morality? Now you're talking about morality. Let's divide morally among ourselves. So morality without God is just our whimsical concoctions. The real morality is to follow the instructions of the Supreme Lord. So here Arjuna was thinking that I do not want to kill my relatives. I want to be a moral person. But Krishna is saying that's not morality. I am telling you, you do your duty as a Kshatriya to punish these people. That is real morality. From the material point of view, it may seem very immoral. Right? Somebody killing his own family member, somebody killing his own grandfather, his own teacher, his own brother may seem very immoral. But from Krishna's point of view, or somebody following as the order of Krishna, the spiritual authority, then it's not immoral. And there are so many examples in the scriptures. Let's say the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, see, his father is being ripped apart. Hiranyakashipu is being ripped apart by Narsinghadev, and Prahlad Maharaj is standing there watching it, and he's standing with the garland. When will my father will be killed, and then I will go and garland the killer of my father. So from material point of view, can somebody consider that moral? That his father is being killed and the son's duty is to protect his father, but he is ready to garland the murderer of his father? But because he is surrendering to the Supreme Lord, this is perfectly moral. Then the gopis, another example, right? Gopis, they gave up everything for the pleasure of Krishna. Krishna is playing flute at the middle of the night and the gopis left everything. They are wife of somebody, sister of somebody, daughter of somebody, mother of somebody. So they left everything and they went, because for them, Krishna's pleasure, Krishna's satisfaction is the supreme responsibility, supreme duty. That is the highest morality. From the material point of view, somebody may consider, oh, it's such an immoral activity. But that's the highest morality, to satisfy the Supreme Lord, to follow the instruction of the Supreme Lord. Another example, Yudhishthira Maharaj in the war. Yudhishthira Maharaj, because they wanted to curb Dronacharya, and the only method was if they tell Dronacharya, your son Ashwathama has been killed. And Dronacharya will not believe anybody except Yudhishthira Maharaj, because Yudhishthira Maharaj is very honest, he is very truthful. So Dronacharya will only believe if Yudhishthira says this, that Ashwathama has been killed. Now, Krishna told Yudhishthira Maharaj, you go and you tell Dronacharya that your son Ashwathama has been killed. And Yudhishthira Maharaj was hesitating in telling that, because he did not want to go against the material morality. He was thinking telling lie is immoral. From material point of view, yes, but to follow the instruction of Krishna, that is highest morality. And Yudhishthira Maharaj did not want to follow that. And that's why his chariot actually came down and touched the ground, because he hesitated in following the orders of Krishna. See, for Yudhishthira Maharaj, it was very famous for Yudhishthira Maharaj that his chariot was 1 inch above the ground. It was never touching the ground. But that moment, it touched the ground because he hesitated in following the words of Krishna. And people who do not understand it, actually they say, oh, because Yudhishthira Maharaj lied, that's why his chariot touched the ground. The reality is, because Yudhishthira Maharaj hesitated in following the instructions of Krishna, he went away against the real moral principle, which is to please the supreme authority. That's why his chariot touched the ground. So there are so many examples like that. What is highest morality? So highest morality is, anybody? Take home message. What is highest morality?
Following the principles of Dharma, which is Krishna's supreme or spiritual authority.
Yes, following the instructions of the Supreme Lord. or the representative of Krishna, that is the supreme morality. So Krishna is telling here Arjuna that do not hesitate in doing your duty, because if this body or whoever has taken birth is certain to die, so you discharge your duty. So Krishna is not just inciting Arjuna for war, but he is telling him to do the real morality, perform his duty of punishing the adharmic people. And religion without philosophy is actually sentiment, and sometimes fanaticism also. While philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So sentimental, what does sentimental mean? Sentimental, sometimes sentimentalist people, what they say, oh, do not deride anyone. Everything is right, everyone is right. Yathomat tathopat. That is the theory of sentimentalist people. Everything is fine, everybody is fine. On the other side, fanaticism, these people are on the another extreme end. Right? They say my path is the only path. My God is the only God. My way is the only way. If you do not accept my path, if you do not accept my God, I will destroy you and I will destroy your God. So that is fanaticism. So this happened because there is no clear philosophical understanding. And when we see violence on the name of religion, the root cause is not religion. Root cause is lack of education. Root cause is lack of philosophical understanding. When somebody is committing such sort of whimsical act, some sort of whimsical violence towards other or offenses towards other, that is lack of philosophical understanding. And many people do this violence on the name of religion is for material gains, right? Material gain either within this world or later on in heaven, because they have been promoted or promised, if you do this violence on the name of religion, Allah will be pleased with you and we will give so much money to your family members. So either material gain within this life, and they are promised that if you die also while doing this thing for the religion, you will be promoted to heaven, Jannat. And there you will have so much wealth, you will have the association of so many beautiful virgin girls. So again, this is not, they are not doing actually for love of God. They are doing it for love of money, love of these beautiful girls, thinking that we will be able to enjoy with them. So again, this is materialistic gain. So the so-called religious people engaging in violence, they are not motivated by religion, but by their own whimsical ideas, their own materialism, and that serves as their rationalization tool. They rationalize everything, whatever they are doing, they try to justify that on that agenda. So this verse is very important verse. Whoever has taken birth is certain to die, and whoever has died, he is again certain to take birth. That is a cycle of birth and death going on. But between this birth and death, what else is there? Jara Vayadhi. There is old age and disease. And because of the old age and disease, there is so much of suffering. And one is going through the cycle of Janam Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, and one need to think how I can come out of that cycle. So further in text 28, Krishna says, Avyaktadini bhutani vyakta madhyani bharata avyakta nidhanani eva tatra ka paridevana. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning. They manifest in their interim state, and then again unmanifest when annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? So as I said, text 26, 27, 28, Krishna is saying, even if you don't believe in concept of soul, you think body is everything. So still, this body, which was unmanifest earlier, then it manifested at certain point of time, then again it will become unmanifested. Right? When it is destroyed, annihilated. So what is the need of lamentation in any case? So these material elements, The material elements are unmanifest before creation. From this subtle state of non-manifestation, they come into manifestation. Like from ether, the air is generated. From air, fire is generated. From fire, water is generated. And from water, earth is generated. So like that, one after another, each material element is generated like that. Earlier they were unmanifest, then they become manifest. And from the combination of these various material elements, various other manifestations take place. For example, the big skyscraper building, right? That is manifested from all these various natural elements from earth. And when that skyscraper building is destroyed, again it merged into those elements, it becomes unmanifest again and remain in that stage. Just like potter, a potter may take some clay, mix the clay with water and make a clay pot. And if the clay pot breaks, again it becomes mixed with clay. So it was earlier unmanifest. This clay pot was unmanifest earlier. Then it manifested in the form of the clay pot. And again, when it broke, it again become unmanifested. It again merged into that material element only. So Krishna is saying this body was unmanifest earlier. Then it manifested based on those material element. And when this body is finished, it will again merge into those material element and become unmanifest. So पहले भी मिट्टी था, बाद में भी मिट्टी बन गया. What is the need of lamentation? So here Krishna is explaining to Arjuna these three verses that do not lament for the body also. If you think body is all in all, still there is no cause of lamentation. And then Krishna again comes back to the concept of soul. That the soul is really amazing. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidенam, Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanya, Ascharyavat chainam annashanoti, Shrutva pienam vedana chaiva kaschit. So some people see the soul as amazing. Some describe him amazing. And some hear of him as amazing. While others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. So here we can understand this verse in two ways. One way is it's describing about the soul. That soul is such an amazing, right? People are describing about this amazing soul. Some people are hearing about this amazing soul. And some after hearing also, they cannot understand about this amazing soul. So this soul is so amazing. And the another meaning is, another way to see at it is, the people who are describing this soul, they are amazing. The people who are hearing about the soul, they are also so amazing. So how the soul is amazing? Ascharyavat. The soul is described as amazing because even though the soul is such a minute soul in size, such a small soul, but it can animate a gigantic body also. The soul is inside the elephant, right? It animates that elephant. And the soul can be inside a small insect or even an ant also, such a small body. So the same small soul, it could be in a gigantic body and animate that, or it could be in such a small body. So that is how amazing the soul is, how much powerful the soul is. Because of the presence of soul, it animates everything. And amazing can refer to the person also, as I said, who is describing about the soul, who hear about the soul, and still who cannot understand about the soul. How amazing these people are. Like Yudhishthira Maharaj was telling Yaksha, what is the most amazing thing is, everybody see people are dying, but they think they will not die. So these people are so amazing that even though they see everybody has to die one day, but they think they will continue to exist. So amazing can refer to the act of describing and act of hearing also. That is a third level of understanding of amazing. So soul is amazing, And people are also who are talking about soul, hearing about soul, they are amazing people. Now, text 30, Krishna summarizes this concept of soul, because that was Arjuna's first concern about compassion for the body. So 30th text, Krishna says, Dehi nityam avadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitum arhasi. Again, natvam shochitum arhasi. Do not lament, do your duty. So here Krishna says, O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. So final conclusion about the nature of soul, or just summarizing this topic of soul. One who is living inside this body that cannot be slain. So you do your duty, do not grieve for any living being. So here Krishna has concluded the instructions on the spirit soul, and in describing about this soul in various ways, Lord Krishna has established that soul is immortal and body is temporary. Therefore, Arjuna, as a Kshatriya, should not abandon his duty out of fear that his grandfather and teachers, Bhishma and Drona, they will die in the battle. On the authority of Shri Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body, not that there is no such thing as soul, or that the living symptoms develop at a certain stage of material maturity resulting from the interactions of chemicals. Though the soul is immortal, violence is not encouraged, but at the same time, but at the time of war, it is not discouraged when there is actual need for it. That need must be justified in terms of the sanction of the Lord and not capriciously. So the Krishna is giving 4 arguments here to counter Arjuna's argument about compassion. 1, we are not the bodies but the soul which never dies. So fight. Then Krishna says, even if you think we are just the bodies, which is just the chemical composition, then still there is no reason to lament, so fight. Then third, Krishna says, whoever has taken birth is certain to die. Don't think that if you don't kill, they will not die. They are going to die at some point of time anyways. So do not lament, fight. And then fourth, this body is unmanifested earlier. Now it is manifested in a particular form, and again it will become unmanifest. So ultimately it will mix into those raw materials. So again, do not lament and discharge duty. So fight. So this is how Krishna is telling Arjuna, countering his first argument about his false compassion about the bodies. So here one statement which Prabhupada is saying, violence is not encouraged, but at the same time when there is need, it is not discouraged either. Right? If there is a need to establish dharma, there is a need to establish peace and justice in the society, at that time one has to take up violence also against the criminal. But one cannot whimsically kill others. For example, if somebody is at the border and the order of his commander, he can kill hundreds of enemies. But when there is no war, he comes back to his home on vacation, and during that vacation, if he gets into fight with his neighbor and takes out his gun and shoot that neighbor, at that time that same person who was awarded earlier for killing hundreds of enemies, now he may be hanged, he may be punished or court-martialed also, because this time he acted whimsically, capriciously. So act has to be sanctioned by the authority, and the highest authority is the Supreme Lord. Here Krishna himself is telling Arjuna, you do not lament, you do your duty of fighting. So Krishna has summarized on the nature of soul, and from text 31 onwards, now Krishna will speak about Arjuna's second argument, loss of happiness. So we'll move forward from text 31 onwards in the next session. So I will stop here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Let's see if there is any discussion, any questions, comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. One of
Hare
the question I
Krishna,
have,
Suresh Prabhu.
Jatasthit
First of all,
room with
welcome
you.
back from India.
Then, but before that, he says, Hatova papase swargam jitva papase mahim tasma uttishta kaunte. That's what you are going to come up.
Yes.
Now, dharma is basically, varnashram is also dharma, right? So what they're talking about is Veda says Kshatriya has to protect the people and protect the, and that's the argument he's going to use it later on. And Vedas also define those dharma in that type of thing that Kshatriya has to protect people.
Yes, so Krishna is taking a slow progression, right? First, he is talking about dharma based on his varnashram, his kshatriya duty. Later on, Krishna will move forward further, talking about his Sanatan dharma also. So there are two type of dharma, Swadharma and Sanatan dharma. Swadharma is based on our varnashram system. That okay, our dharma based on if somebody is a Brahmana or a Kshatriya, in that way, what is their duty? And Sanatan Dharma is on the level of soul. We are part and parcel of the Super Soul, the Supreme Lord. And what is our Dharma towards the Supreme Lord? That is Sanatan Dharma. So Krishna is first taking towards Swadharma. That as a Kshatriya, your duty is to protect the citizen. Your duty is to punish the criminals. So he is talking from that point of view. Slowly Krishna will move forward, as we will see in the next verses.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
So,
Hare
Prabhu,
Krishna.
we always say that Krishna is saying to asking Arjuna to fight, which is promoting him and asking him to fight for or promoting violence. But in real sense, even though Krishna is saying to him to fight, he's basically asking him to perform his duty,
Right.
and not fight or not violence, because this conversation is with Arjuna at the battlefield. At that time, his duty is to fight. That's why Krishna is saying, leave this for every different argument. So fight. It can be seen even for performing duty. If hypothetically speaking, if Krishna is talking to some farmer, and farmer is saying, no, I don't want to cultivate thing because I may kill
Right.
insects. It's the same thing. No, you do your duty.
Right.
That's not the violence and non-violence, which is derived.
Right, exactly. That was the point, right? That's why I'm saying again and again, one should not think that Krishna is inciting Arjuna for violence. Krishna is not inciting Arjuna for war or for violence. Krishna is just encouraging Arjuna to do his duty. He should not get away from his duty because of his attachment to his family member. A few sessions back, and when we were in the first chapter, I gave this one example that making the right decisions, right? Moral choices. What is that? A judge should not think, oh, how can I punish my own son if he has committed the crime? He should still do his duty and punish for the crime. A police officer should not think how I can arrest my own family member if they have committed the crime. So they should still do their duty. So here also Krishna is telling Arjuna, you do your duty, even if you have to punish your own family members, you do discharge of your duty. So it's not that Krishna is promoting violence or inciting Arjuna for war. He is just encouraging Arjuna to do his duty as a Kshatriya.
So, and one question or more of maybe I'm not really understanding it in the right. So Prabhu, you give the example of Yudhishthira Maharaj not following or hesitating to follow Krishna's instructions, and that caused him that is
His chariot to touch.
chariot. Yeah.
Hmm.
But Prabhu, Arjuna himself is also hesitating from the start. The entire Bhagavad Gita, half of the Bhagavad Gita is hesitating. At first, these first two chapters, he's hesitating that I don't want to do this. So that is also hesitation. But here Krishna is enlightening Arjuna to perform the duty, and not because of his hesitation is he's being kind of penalized or something in that sense. On the contrary, when Yudhishthira Maharaj is hesitating, he doesn't know whether Krishna is the Supreme Lord as
No, he knows.
Arjuna.
Yudhishthira also knows.
As
See,
Arjuna.
Yudhishthira also knows. All the Pandavas, they know. Bhishma Pitama know, right, that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. The difference is, after Arjuna said, Karishye Vachanam Tava, I will do whatever you say, Arjuna followed. Whatever Krishna says, Arjuna followed the words of Krishna. But whereas the difference was in Yudhishthira's this particular pastime, when Yudhishthira, even though he was hesitating to speak the lie, then he agreed that I will say. He did not say full truth or whatever Krishna exactly told. He did not say that, right? He said, Ashwatthama Hatova. The Ashwatthama got killed. But then he added another sentence. I don't know if he spoke slowly, basically in his mouth, murmuring his lips, that I don't know if it's your son or the elephant. Because he wanted to keep himself truthful from material point of view. That yes, I said Ashwatthama is dead, but then he added, I don't know if it's your son or the elephant Ashwatthama. That was the reason, because he did not follow the instructions of Krishna fully. He, in one sense, he went away from the instructions of Krishna. His chariot touched the ground. That
So
he was not fully moral.
So did Krishna ask him to say a lie, or the Hathi was killed and then asked him to
So
just
Hathi was
announce it?
killed, and Krishna instructed Bhima that, okay, you do the needful, and Bhima killed the elephant named Ashwatthama. And Yudhishthira was told, now you just say Ashwatthama is killed. He was told to say this much only, Ashwatthama is killed. But then Yudhishthira, he used his own intelligence also and added that part to keep himself truthful from material point of view. So I was going to say something else also. I forgot to add another example here.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Amlan Prabhu.
Yeah, today's discussion on this word, violence, it came so many times. And now we are discussing about this, like Ravi Shankar Prabhu was talking about. So I wanted to bring some more point on that.
Okay.
Like, for example, the argument is given, like Krishna was telling Arjuna to do duty. So if Krishna, instead of saying duty, if Krishna was telling Arjuna, go and kill them, still it is not violence.
Right.
Okay. So the why I'm saying that, I'll explain. Let me explain. So the violence is not related to the action, which is to be understood very clearly. It is not. It is not meant to be an action. It is the meaning behind violence is what is the reason behind that activity that defines violence.
Right.
That's why if Krishna says go and kill that person, it's not violence. There are two reasons. First thing is Krishna is God. He is telling means it is dharma. Second reason, if Krishna is not God, for example, he is an ordinary person and telling Arjuna, kill your enemy, other side of Kaurava or whatever, kill those guys, still it is not violence because it is his duty that time to kill those people. For what? For the protection of dharma. So that was the reason. So that's why it is not violence. Similarly, when doctor did do any kind of surgery, use knife, activity might look violent, but activity is not important. What is the reason doctor is doing that, and what is the reason that soldier is standing in front of the border? So violence is not the activity. Violence is what reason behind that activity is performed, together it makes the action violence or not. So similarly, like you're talking about soul is eternal, soul cannot be killed. So now it does not give anybody permission to kill whimsically. Means if somebody is killing somebody, some other person for the personal gain or personal benefit, then it is a violence. If somebody is killing if we take Krishna or Arjun from the equation, if we take out from the equation, suppose we are talking about regular people. Suppose one regular person is killing another regular person for the greater good of society, for the greater good of human being, then also it is not considered as a violence. If that person is killing another person for the benefit of his personal gain, it could be any form, that gain. So then it will be considered as a violence. For example, terrorism. Terrorism, even though they bring that they are doing for some religion or whatever, but behind that they have material gain. They have a lot of money involved in that. So that's why terrorism is considered as a violence. But for example, when soldier is fighting, soldier is also killing a lot of people. Sometimes soldier will do a lot of, like in the Kurukshetra, where there are a lot of cheating happened towards the end, because it started from Kaurava, then from Pandava, there was a lot of, like Ashwatthama Iti Gaja you guys are talking about. So even though cheating involved, if the purpose is greater good or purpose is greater good for human being or society, then it will not be considered as a violence. Like Gandhiji was telling the people in non-violence, you slap another, then give your another one. That is not considered as a violence, means non-violence to me, because that was like a like you are doing that. You are not doing because of violence or non-violence. You are trying to basically mobilize more people, so that people in India that time, probably the condition of Indians were so poor, they did not have like, in the name of aggression you cannot get more people, in the name of softness people you get more people. That's why Gandhiji might have done that kind of tricks that time, because he was thorough about Bhagavad Gita. He knows about violence, non-violence and all this, but still he did that. Maybe he has a different reason for that. So violence in general, if the purpose behind is a personal gain, then it is violence, no matter how nice that activity could be. If you are giving somebody sweet, very nice sweet you are giving, and in the behind you have a reason that that person is diabetic, tell him, talk nicely and talk all the good things and give him sweet so that his diabetes go increase. That's the act of violence. So
Yeah.
that's how I just wanted to bring the violence to everybody.
Yeah, so you heard the word violence, but we used many of these examples already in the last session and this session. The example of the doctor and the soldier and all. So yes, thank you for summarizing some of these examples. And the ultimate point is, what can be considered as a violence, or violence is something which is done for their selfish agenda. If somebody is doing it for the establishment of dharma, protection of dharma, for the peace and law and order, to establish law and order, it's not considered violence. That is the duty of the person at that time. So Krishna is not inciting Arjuna for violence, but he is telling Arjuna to do his duty, even though it may be involving killing of other people. So it's not really considered as a violence there, or whimsical violence there. Okay, I think it's 9:40. Should we end it here, or anybody has any other comment or question?
Oh, one different type of question here is on the so in this, that the soul can transmigrate from any place to any other place. Can be anywhere in the other planets too. And we say earthly planets, the heavenly planets, and the hellish planets. So planets are used. So within, I mean, now again, maybe totally confused or confusing here, is we see the planets as the Mars, Saturn, these planets which are more the planets are the planets which are for the demigods. Earth is the only planet that we know as an earthly planet. Are there other earthly planets also that is mentioned somewhere in the scripture, which is where human life exists? Yeah.
See, based on the universal structure, there are many planets. Okay, for example, there are 14 planetary system, right? The scriptures define there are 14 planetary system, from the lowest one Patala to the highest one as a Brahmaloka. And within each planetary system, there are multiple planets. So we say this is planetary system. 14 planetary system doesn't mean 14 planets. Okay, so it's a planetary system. So it's like a layer in each planetary system, and within that layer, there are multiple planets in XYZ dimensions. So like that, there are 14 layers, and in those 14 layers, there are multiple planets in each layer. And when we say earthly planetary system, in that also Earth is one, but there are other planets also. What we call as a galaxy, or within this galaxy, we saw these many planets or something, and they're finding another galaxies. So that is within this universe, they're finding another galaxies where there are another multiple planets there.
So these other planets, which are the Saturn, Uranus,
They are within earthly planetary system.
Earthly planet system.
Right. They are within the Earth planetary system. So for
Earthly
example, in the Patal Lok, or even below Patal, subterranean system, which we call, there are description of 28 hellish planets. Right? In Bhagavatam 5th canto, the last chapter, it talk about 18 planets, hellish planets. So it's not one hell. There are 18 planets in that realm, in that planetary system. So within each planetary system, there are multiple planets.
Okay, so how many planets are there in the earthly planetary system? That's not
there's no count, right? It doesn't say any count here. Science has discovered 9, what we talk about famous as 9, and they talk about sun also. Yes, so it's not actually everything in earthly planetary system. It's go up to the Swarg layer also, because the sun is common in that planetary system, and moon. So in that way, it's not really just that one planetary system. There are other multiple planets involved in different planetary system.
But this is a story of one universe, but there are multiple universes.
Yeah, we are talking about one universe. Again, like that one universe, there are innumerable universes.
So there is no limit of Earth.
Yes. The Earth is just like a dust particle, if we think in comparison of this whole innumerable universes.
But within the scope of Bhagavatam, which is this universe.
Yes, Bhagavatam is speaking based on this universe. And Bhagavatam, all the different pastime which are described is within this kalpa of Brahma. Right? Everything which is happening, all these different incarnations of the Lord, which are mentioned in Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam is speaking about this universe, and within this universe, within this kalpa of Brahma.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.